नंदना जय ब्रज जन रंजना जय यमुना तीरावनचारि जय कुंज विहारी जय यमुना तीरावनचारि जय कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा जय हो कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा जय हो कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जगन्नाथाय जय बलदेवाय जय सुभद्रा मैया जय हो सुरतना जय निताई चैतन्य जय निताई चैतन्य जय निताई चैतन्य जय गौर हरि जय निताई चैतन्य जय निताई चैतन्य जय निताई चैतन्य जय गौर हरि जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय हो गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल नित्य लीला पुरुष जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद His Divine Grace अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ISKCON BBT संस्थापकाचार्य जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अमर पुराण श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई सुदर्शन महाराज की जय। श्री श्री गौरांगी बेंगलोरेश्वर की जय। श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा स्वामी भगवान प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। अनंत देव की जय। श्री श्री वामन देव की जय। श्री श्री गुरु गोवर्धन महाराज की जय। श्री श्री शालिग्राम भगवान की जय। श्री श्री निताई चैतन्य भगवान की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। छड़ गोस्वामी की जय। गुरु परंपरा की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताई गौर सितनाथ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा। वेलकम ऑल devotees who are joining in this morning session of Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we are going to read from Canto 4, chapter 11th, entitled Dhruv Maharaj. Swambhu Manu advises Dhruv Maharaj to stop fighting. So, under that chapter, we are going to discuss from text number 2 to text number 4. So, let me share my screen. Shant Govind Prabhu, are you able to hear my voice and see the screen as well? Are you able to hear me and see my screen both? You are on mute.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, you can see my screen and you can hear me as well, right?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Very clear.
Okay, that's fine. Let's start. Okay, so as we were saying that today we are going to discuss from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, the 11th chapter, entitled Swayambhu Manu advises Dhruv Maharaj to stop fighting. So under that chapter, we are going to discuss the three verses, 2, 3rd, and second, third, and fourth. Let's start. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिर्वत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति निष्ठकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण. So once again, welcome you all in today's Srimad Bhagavatam morning session. And today we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 11th chapter, and verse numbers 2 to 4. So wherever you are, you can see the screen. Please recite it wherever you are. Sandhiyamana etasmin maya guhyakya nirmita shipram vineshur vidura klesha jnanodayet yatha. सन्धीयमान एतस्मिन् माया गुह्यक्य निर्मिता क्षिप्रं विनेषु विदुर क्लेशाज्ञानोदये यथा. So synonyms, I will just read it once, all the verses in the best interest of time. So synonym, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sandhya Mane, while joining to his bow, etasmin, this Narayanastra Mayaha, the illusion, Guhyakya Nirmita, created by the Yakshas, Shipram, very soon, Vini Sheyu, were destroyed. Vidura, O Vidura, Klesha, illusory pains and pleasures, Jnana Udaye, upon the arising of knowledge, Yatha, just as. Translation: as soon as Dhruv Maharaj joined the Narayan Astra arrow to his bow, the illusion created by the Yakshas was immediately vanquished. Just as all material pains and pleasures are vanquished when one becomes fully cognizant of the self. Purport: Krishna is like the sun, and Maya or the illusory energy of Krishna is like darkness. Darkness means absence of light. Similarly, Maya means absence of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness and Maya are always there, side by side. As soon as there is awakening of Krishna consciousness, all the illusory pains and pleasures of material existence are vanquished. Mayam etam tarantite. Constant chanting of the Maha Mantra will keep us always aloof from the illusory energy of Maya. Verse number 3. अस्त्रं धनुषि प्रयुज्यतः सुवर्णपुङ्खः कालां स वशः विनिहस्रता अविविश्वदुर्शिश्वदलं यथा वनं भीमरवा शिखण्डिनः. Synonyms, translation and purport is not there. So synonyms and translation by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tasya, while Dhruva Arsha Astram, the weapon given by Narayana Rishi, Dhanushi, on his bow, Prayojita, Prayunjatah, fixed Suvarna Pankaha, arrow with the golden shafts, Kalamsa Vashaha, the feather like the wings of a swan, Vinishtata, sprang out, Avishruhu, entered Dvishat Balam, the soldiers of the enemy, Yatha, just as Vanam into a forest, Bhima Ravaha, making a tumultuous sound, Shikhandina, peacocks. Translation. Even as Dhruv Maharaj fixed the weapon made by Narayan Rishi onto his bow, arrows with golden shafts and feathers like the wings of a swan flew out from it. They entered the enemy's soldiers with a great hissing sound, just as peacocks enter a forest with tumultuous crown. ते स्मित मधारे प्रदने शीलमुखे ऋतस्तः पुण्यजना उपद्रता तमभ्यधावन कुपिता उधा सुपर्णम उन्नतः फन इवा यह. So synonyms and translation. They by those. Tigma dhariha, which had a sharp point. Pradhane, on the battlefield. Shilimukha, arose. Itaha tataha, here and there. Punaha Gyanaha, the Yaksha, Punyajanaha, the Yakshas, Upadrutaha, the being greatly agitated, Tama, towards Dhruv Maharaj, Abhyadvan, rushed, Upitaha, being angry, Udayudaha, with upraised weapons, Suparnam, towards Garuda, Unnadha Panaha, the upraised hoods, Eva like Ayaha serpents. Translation. Those sharp arrows dismayed the enemy soldiers who become almost unconscious. But various yakshas on the battlefield, in a rage against Dhruv Maharaj, somehow or other collected their weapons and attacked, just as serpents agitated by Garuda rushed towards Garuda with upraised hoods. All the Yaksha soldiers prepared to overcome Dhruv Maharaj with their upraised weapons. ओमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च. नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतुसे नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते जयतं सुरतुपङ्गुर मम मन्दमतेरगति मतः सरस्वं पादाम्बुजो श्रीराधामदनमोहनो दिव्यादवृन्दरन्या कल्पद्रुमदौ श्रीमद्रत्नाकरा सिंहासनो स्थो श्रीमद्राधा शीलगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठालिभिः सेव्या मनुस्मरामि श्रीमनरासरसारम्भि वांसी वटतटे स्थितः कर्षणवेणुस्वनिर्गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रियेस्तु नः तप्तकाञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण. So once again, welcome you all in today's session of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in this session, we are going to read from fourth canto, 11th chapter, verse number second to fourth. So let's one more time read the verse and then we will start the discussion. So the translation is: as soon as Dhruv Maharaj joined the Narayana arrow to his bow, the illusion created by the yakshas was immediately vanquished, just as all material pains and pleasures are vanquished when one becomes fully cognizant of the self. So it's a very important verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. And this chapter, if you haven't have the background, then just to give you a brief recap of the previous chapter and this chapter also. So we just try to understand the background to understand that what is in the backdrop happened. Because of that, Dhruv Maharaj attacked Yakshas. So earlier we understood from verses of previous chapter that how Dhruv Maharaj attacked Yakshas because of his brother Uttam was killed by Yakshas in the forest. So it so happened that Dhruv Maharaj's brother Uttama, he went to forest for hunting, and somehow or other he got entangled in a fight with Yakshas, and Yakshas killed him. And following the news of the demise of his son, Suruchi also went to the forest, and somehow or other she was also killed in forest fire, and she left her body. When Dhruv Maharaj heard these events and he came to know that how his brother was killed by Yakshas, so he became furious and enraged. And to avenge his brother's death, he attacked Yakshas. And in the previous chapter, we know that how Bharat Maharaj attacked Yakshas. Yakshas' capital, that is, the city is known as Alkapuri. Right. So this is the background where Dhruv Maharaj attacked Alkapuri and Yakshas, and how he actually valorously fought with Yakshas. And it is so mentioned in our earlier chapter that how Dhruv Maharaj was shooting arrows three at a time. And the Yakshas was so expert that they were shooting 6 arrows at a time. And it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam in earlier chapter that how 130,000 Yaksha soldiers were shooting 6 arrows at one time, right? So it was like 780,000 arrows, right? In one time. We can't even imagine that how much it was, lethal for any person. Even one arrow is enough to kill us. But when it is so that when Lord's devotees are always protected, right? Always protected by Lord's energy. When Dhruv Maharaj actually it's so mentioned in earlier chapter that these arrows actually created a kind of cloud, right? That no one can see through. But Dhruv Maharaj actually appeared from those clouds like a sun, right? And in those conditions, it's so mentioned that how Dhruv Maharaj fought with yakshas and he was killing them one by one, right? And the yakshas actually became afraid that now they are going to be killed. So they ran away, they flee from the battlefield. And it's so mentioned that when Dhruv Maharaj blew his conch shell, right? So that from the tumultuous sound of the conch shell, the wives of yakshas become frightened, right? They were seeing the sign of inauspiciousness that our husbands will not return from the battlefield and they will get killed, right? So under those circumstances, Dhruv Maharaj were fighting with yakshas and he entered in Alkapuri and he was killing the yakshas one by one. And when all the yaksha army flew away from the flee away from the battlefield, then Yakshmara Dhruv Maharaj thought that this must be the maya of yakshas and this must be a play, or they are actually so expert in controlling the illusory energy that this is their trick. And as soon as he was thinking about it, everything was looking very calm at that time. He wasn't able to see any yakshas, right? But as soon as he was thinking about this, so immediately he saw that uh, a flood is coming from the ocean. Like that, actually, he saw the big waves are coming towards him. Like so, under those circumstances, l- here actually, if we see in the last few verses of verse of this chapter and the earlier verses of previous chapters, that how Dhruv Maharaj, when he saw all these things coming at him, he immediately thought of fighting them. He was fighting definitely, but at the same time, he was engulfed by those things that were sent by yakshas. So during that time, the rishis actually came and they asked him uh, to invoke Narayana Astra. So at that time, this is the background where Dhruv Maharaj took Achman and he invoked Narayana Astra. It's very important for us to understand that here Prabhupada, and especially if we read this verse, we can see that as soon as Dhruv Maharaj joined the Narayan Astra to his bow, the illusion created by the Yakshas immediately vanquished. So we need to understand that he hasn't fired the Astra yet, right? It is just by joining the arrow to his bow, the illusion got vanquished. So this was the power. He haven't shooted the arrow yet, shooted the shastra yet, right? But still, just by joining that arrow to the bow, the illusion got immediately vanquished. And Prabhupada is saying here in the purport that Krishna is like sun, and the Maya, the illusory energy of the Lord, is like darkness. So when sun appears, there is no more role of darkness. So darkness, that as soon as the sun appears, the darkness get dissipated. Right. So similarly, here when Dhruv Maharaj joined that Narayana Astra or the Narayana arrow to his bow, immediately all the illusion got dissipated or vanquished. So similarly, when one takes shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the illusionary energies power get vanquished. So this is the background of this particular verse where we saw that how Dhruv Maharaj invoked Narayanastra, and as soon as he joined the Narayanastra or the Narayan arrow to his bow, immediately all the illusion got vanquished. So it is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and you must have read it on Back to Godhead magazine, right? What is written? Surya Krishna Surya Sam Maya Haya Andakar. Krishna is like Surya or sun, and Maya Haya Andakar. Maya is like darkness. यहाँ कृष्ण तहाँ नहीं माया र अधिकार. And when there is Krishna, there is no jurisdiction of Maya or illusory energy. So both actually exist at the same time. The Maya and Krishna, both are there at the same time. But when we look at Krishna, Maya is at our back. And when we are looking at Maya, then Krishna is at our back. So we need to understand that Lord is just like the effulgent sun, right? And whenever the Supreme Personality of God is present, there cannot be darkness or ignorance. Actually, this dark universe is illuminated by the sun. But the sun and moon simply reflect the bodily effulgence of Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that Prabhasmi Sasi Suryoha. I am the illuminating energy of both the sun and moon. The conclusion is that the origin of all life is the bodily effulgence of Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in Brahma Samhita as well. Yasya Prabha Prabhavo Jagat Jagadanda Koti. Being illuminated by the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is freed from all darkness. And the Lord is just like the effulgent sun. Krishna Surya Sama, right? So when Krishna is present, there is no more darkness. And as here in the example of Dhruv Maharaj, when he invoked Narayanastra and he joined that arrow with the bow, all the illusion get vanquished. Actually, if you see, this dark universe is illuminated by sun, right? And in this darkness, as soon as the sun appears, all the darkness get dissipated. So the illusory energy is so powerful that one who is actually, and what is Maya? In this world, if you see, for living entity to understand himself as body is Maya, right? But when one takes shelter of Guru, right? The bona fide Guru, when one takes shelter of bona fide Guru, then he actually prepare himself to come out of the clutches of Maya. And it is said that when one takes shelter of Guru, he immediately come out of clutches of Maya. So until unless we give up this bodily conception and to understand ourself as body, this is called as Dehatma Buddhi, right? To understand oneself as body. So as soon as we understand ourself as body, and other living entities who are entangled in Maya, and we also take them as body, right? So, first thing is to understand oneself as body, and to understand others as body is again Maya. So, when one come out of this, and how one can come out of this illusion that one is body? Only by taking shelter. Without taking shelter, no one can actually understand the true nature of the self, right? And that is called as Atma Sakshatkar, or to understand that who am I, right? So until unless one understand that he is not this body, he cannot come to the platform of devotional service. So this is the first prerequisite of devotional service, to understand that I am not this body. And one when one takes shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead, then only one can come out of this understanding. And that's what this is what Prabhupada is explaining here, right? That Maya metam tarantite, right? Deveshi gunmai mam maya durataya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite, right? When one takes shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead, then actually he can come out of the illusory energies power, right? And Prabhupada is mentioning here that constant chanting of Mahamantra will keep us away from the illusory energy of the of Maya, right? So this tongue, right? So tongue is like that. What? It is like a bow, and the Harinam or Mahamantra is like the arrow or Naranastra. So what is Naranastra in our case? In our case, the Naranastra is Mahamantra, right? So as soon as we take Lord's name, the illusory energy will get dissipated, or it will get vanquished. So we as a living entity must take shelter of the Lord, right? And it is very beautifully explained in one of the uh, doha of Ramcharitmanas, where Tulsidas ji is saying that Sanmukh hoye jeev mohi jab hi. Here, Lord is saying that Sanmukh hoye jeev mohi jab hi, janam koti ag nasahi tab hi. So, what does it mean? It means as soon as, right, the living entity takes shelter of the Lord. Sanmukh means to take shelter. Sanmukh doesn't mean just to, stand in front of the Lord, right? So many a times people, go to temple and they stand in front of the Lord. Yeah, that have its own result, right? But if we want to take the full advantage of taking darshan of the Lord, right, is to surrender to the Lord, and that is what is called as sanmukha, right? So sanmukha hoi jeev mohi jabhi janam koti aghnasai tabhi, right? So whatever the impious karma that he has done, right, in his innumerous previous lives, right, that will get destroyed as soon as one takes shelter of the Lord, right? So until unless we prepare ourselves to take shelter of the Lord, we cannot get out of the clutches of Maya. And Maya Devi is so powerful because ultimately she is the energy of the Lord, right? And when one takes shelter of Lord, then the illusory energy have no power to do anything with that particular living entity. And here, when Dhruv Maharaj invoked Narayana Astra, and Narayana Astra is nothing, it's an arrow actually. So, just to give you a brief background that what is this Narayana Astra, right? So, Narayana Astra is actually made by Nar and Narayan Rishi, right? Who are none other than incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Nar is Arjuna, and Narayana is Vishnu, right? The Krishna. And this Naranastra, as we know that Brahmastra is weapon of Brahma, or it is a Shastra which is created by Lord Brahma, and Pashupatastra is prepared by or is made by Lord Shiva. So similarly, this Naranastra is made by Narayana, right? And but we need to understand that this Naranastra is much more powerful than all these two astras, Brahmastra and Pashupatastra, right? So this Naranastra is made by Lord Himself, right? And it's so powerful. But there is a difference we need to understand that if there is an incident in there are two incidents in Mahabharata where we can see the power of these two astras, right? So at the end we know that how at the end of Mahabharata how uh, Ashwathama invoked Brahmastra, right, to kill Parikshit Maharaj, right? And when he invoked Brahmastra, then Lord protected Parikshit Maharaj in the womb. We all know that story, right? But in the previous event, when Dronacharya was killed, right? When Dronacharya got killed, at that time, Ashwathama was full with enraged and he wanted to avenge the death of his father. At that time, he was very much aware of how to invoke Naranastra as well. And Naranastra was procured by uh, Dronacharya, and he gave this Vidya to Ashwathama, right? So in the evening, after the day when Dronacharya got killed, he took the sankalpa that I'm going to kill all the army of Yudhishthir Maharaj and all the Pandavas, right? And I will do it with using Naranastra. So next day, and you know that Krishna is so powerful, right? And he is Antaryami. He knows everyone's heart, right? And he knows what we are thinking and what we are saying and what we are doing, right? So Lord somehow came to know about this plan that he's going to use Naranastra, right? And uh, what is the response that we should give when we are actually fall into this kind of situation where we have to face Naranastra? How you are going to face Naranastra? Because it's so powerful, right? You don't have anything to do when you are attacked by such a weapon. You don't have any resort, right? So Lord actually told all the Pandavas that tomorrow this is going to happen. So please tell your army what that when Ashwathama is going to shoot that weapon, Naranastra, then please bow down and with folded hands, just remember the Lord. Just chant Lord's name by folded hands. And Naranastra will not do any harm to you. See, this is the beauty of Naranastra. Naranastra never ever, harm any innocent person, right? Whereas Brahmastra and Pashupatastra, we know that they can harm even the innocent, right? What was the mistake of Parikshit Maharaj? Parikshit Maharaj was innocent. He was in the womb of his mother, right? But still, Brahmastra actually came till womb to kill Parikshit Maharaj. And we know that how Lord actually protected Parikshit Maharaj. But the point that I'm making here is that Brahmastra was invoked by Ashwathama, but still it didn't, differentiate between innocent and the faulty, right? And it actually went till the womb of Uttara, correct? But here, when Naranastra was invoked by Ashwathama, then all the army, all the soldiers of Pandava's army and the Pandavas themselves actually with folded hands started chanting Lord's name. And Naranastra couldn't harm anyone. So this is very important from the perspective of a devotee, that Lord's protection and Lord's destructive energy is meant to protect the devotees of the Lord. Both actually. Mare Krishna rakhe Krishna mare ke. And this principle applies to everyone, right? And Lord actually says that my devotees are very dear to me. Right? And how we can become dear to the Lord? By following the instructions of the Lord, right? If we want to become dear to anyone in this world, forget about Lord, right? Even a simple person, if we want to please him, right? And we want to become dear to that person, then the first thing is that we should obey, we should follow the instruction given by that person. If we do that, then our activities will please that person, right? And will become dear to that person. So if we want to become dear to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, then we should obey his instruction. If we obey his instructions, then only we can please him. And by pleasing him, we will become dear to him. Right? And chanting Mahamantra in this age of Kali is the only way by which we can take shelter of the Lord and we can please the Lord. This is what Lord is saying in Bhagavad Gita as well, right? Man mana mat bhakto madhyajinam namaskuru, right? So if we are doing that, then we are following the instructions of the Lord, right? If we are following the instructions of the Lord, then we are pleasing Him. And this is the ultimate aim of the life as well, right? Yasmin tushte jagat tushte. If we can please the Lord, then we can please the whole entire universe and all infinite universe as well. If we can just please the Lord. And how we can please the Lord? By becoming His devotee. And how to become devotee? Is by chanting Lord's name without any ulterior motive. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is the position of the devotee of the Lord, that he always in the shelter of the Lord, and since he has taken the shelter of the Lord, he's always get protection from the Lord, right? So in this world, we see that many a people nowadays having pet in their home, right? So we know that the pet, when the owner is there with the pet is become powerful. He shows his progresses, rather he's so powerful. But as soon as the owner is not there, then he's not that much powerful. Correct. So similarly, we as living entity are always protected by the Lord, right? Because this is actually the position of the living entity, right? Jivera Sarupoe Krishnera Nityadas, right? So if we can understand this is the real position, the constitutional position of our in front of the Lord, then actually we can act accordingly. If we cannot act according to the wish of the Lord, then we cannot please Him. And if we cannot please Him, then we cannot get the protection as well, right? So in this world, in this material world also, the people actually get protection when they follow someone, right? So what to say about the Lord, who without any expectation protects us, right? When we were there in the womb of mother, who was supplying us with all nutrients, right? Who was providing all those proteins, vitamins, and whatnot, right, to sustain our body, right? At that time, we weren't having any consciousness to do or any power to take food or anything else, right? Even the air was supplied to us, the oxygen was being supplied to us when we were there in the womb of our mother, right? So, Lord, and as soon as we came out of the womb of our mother, it is explained in third canto, 31st chapter, that how Lord actually we take a pledge in the womb of our mother that as soon as we will come out of the womb of our mother, we will spend our whole life in serving the Supreme Personality of God and by chanting His names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we have forgotten that pledge, right? And that's why we are wandering in this material universe from birth after birth. And there is no, uh, you know, power in this universe or earth can save other than taking shelter of the Lord. No power can save us from this calamity of or the vicious cycle of birth and death. The only power that can actually take us out of this vicious circle of birth and death is Lord's name, right? So when we take those names with sincerity and with full devotion, then Lord get pleased, right? Similarly, when a father's lost son, right, he comes to father, right, and he goes down and he pleases him, right. The father is jubilant just by seeing that his lost son has come back to the home, right. Similarly, when living entity act according to the will of the Lord and pray to the Lord that take me out of this, vicious cycle of birth and death, then Lord get pleased to see the sincerity and seeing that his lost son is coming back to his abode. Lord become more, happy than us, right, to help us get out of here in this material world, right. So we need to be very, very cautious in our act to pleasing the Lord, right? Act of pleasing the Lord. So whenever we perform any activity, we should do it in injunction of Shastras and as per the will of the Lord. And first and foremost is to take shelter of bona fide spiritual master. So when living entity takes shelter of bona fide spiritual master and act according to the instruction given by bona fide spiritual master, then he or she or living entity pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I thank you all very much. If you have any questions, then I can take. I think we are good. Thank you, Shangon Prabhu. Is there any question you have?
Right, Prabhuji, all clear.
Okay,
Very
Prabhu. Thank
nicely
you.
explained. Very nicely explained.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, श्रील गुरुदेव की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, निताई गौर हितनाथ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.